What is going on, everybody? This is Yes, I Read That, and today I am reviewing The Traitor Baru Cormorant by Seth Dickinson. Finally, fantasy is back with a pretty different fantasy book. This one doesn't really focus that much on action and fighting, but instead it's about politics and trade. It's a pretty different and pretty interesting book, so I'm gonna get right into it. I'm gonna start with the story and then tell you my likes and dislikes, and then talk about my score and some spoilery stuff, because there's been so much in this book that, yeah, I just need to talk about it. So, the story. The book is about a girl called Baru Cormorant, and when you know this, then the title already gets much more interesting. Baru Cormorant lives a secluded life on an island until a foreign empire called the Masquerade or Falcrest starts trading with them and starts immersing the island with their currency and their wares, and slowly but surely conquers them. So as Baru grows up, the island is conquered, if you can call it that, by the Masquerade more and more. The influence is growing and growing, and of course there are some good things like better medicine and different doctors who know more stuff, new things they didn't have access to before, but they're also bad, like some diseases they didn't even know and that they're not immune to. So the Masquerade gains more and more power. Baru Cormorant actually grows up with the teachings of the Masquerade instead of the teachings of her own parents, because the Masquerade has its own schools and they're very, very focused on teaching their principles, on teaching their hygiene. And one thing where they really differentiate is Baru's parents consist of a mother and two fathers. Now, on her island, Taranoke, that is completely normal. But for the Masquerade, or for Falcrest, this is completely unthinkable. People who do something like this are called primitives or sodomites or tribadists, and they're completely shunned. It's called unhygienic, and they try to completely shut that down. So one theme of the book is colonization and how the colonizers bring some stuff, some of it great, some of it bad, but they expect you to be, eternally grateful for the advances they brought you, while they don't even realize that there are some pretty bad things they can bring as well. So one day, Baru's father Salm, so one of her fathers, does not return from a war with another tribe called the Lowlanders. And this war only existed because the Lowlanders didn't agree with the Masquerade influence. So, yeah, essentially he died because of the Masquerade, and she's not sure if he actually died in a battle or if he died because they did not want her to have two fathers. But eventually she decides that she needs to get strong inside the Masquerade system because she can't oppose it from the outside. So eventually, she wants to get so powerful that she can start destroying Falcrest or the Masquerade from within itself. So after taking an exam after school and acing it, she's transferred to a new post on a different island, the Island of the Wolves, called Ordwin. So Ordwin is ruled by a number of dukes who had their power for a long time. And when Baru arrives, after the two people who previously held her post were murdered, she already finds herself in a web of intrigues and of political influences by these dukes. So now, to grow more powerful, she somehow needs to pull everything together and to destroy this rebellion, to prove herself to Falcrest, and to gain more power in the Masquerade. Now this is where I'll stop. I won't go any further into the story, but the story is really good, and I'll tell you more about the book now in my likes and dislikes. So, for my likes, it's a bit hard to describe why I like this book so much, but there are definitely a lot of things it did right. The first thing is, of course, that the story and the settings are really awesome. Now, you might not be into political fantasy that much, but if you enjoy it, then this book is really great. I really like the part about Taranoke and her getting colonized, getting immersed into this different culture. It was pretty interesting to read about, and an interesting thought experiment. So I also really enjoyed that the book is so focused on trade and on politics, because you get that in some other books, but this one, it's really the main focus. It's like everything in this book is politics and trade. And as soon as she gets transferred to Ordwin, that's when the book really takes off, and it's quite amazing. And the Ordwind setting as well, this wintry country with, you know, their huge forests and their old families. It's really cool. I really enjoyed it. So one common theme in the book is, you know, it's about power and what people do to obtain that power without spoiling too much. And I think that was portrayed pretty well, and yeah, it's just, yeah, it's really good. One thing I can't really talk about because I didn't get to touch upon it in the story, but there are so many feels in the end. Oh my god, it gets so emotional, and what Baru does, or what she has to do, it's so heartbreaking, and you can really feel with her. It's just crazy in the end. And also in the end, the character of Baru herself, it's so good because it's not completely, she's kind of an anti-hero. It's so good, but so complex that you don't even really understand yourself what she's doing, but it's still consistent all the time. And then the last thing, of course, the end of the book. I don't even know what to say, like, wow. The last 50 pages, I think they upped the score of the book quite a bit, because that was just crazy. I don't know. It's such a unique book. Yeah. I'm gonna talk more about this in the spoiler section later, but if you didn't read the book yet, then yeah, you don't want to get spoiled. So let's get to my dislikes. There's a lot of stuff I liked, but also some stuff I didn't really like. And the first point would be that I feel like the author, Seth Dickinson, could have done a lot more with nature and the culture, because it seems like he created such a rich culture and also these interesting settings, but then he takes no time at all to explain any of that. And it kind of takes away from the beauty. There's also this aspect of the story where the Masquerade destroys some aspects of the local culture, of the native culture, but you don't really ever get to see the native culture that much, so I feel like there could have been a lot more in that aspect. The writing is pretty good, honestly. I liked it a lot, but it's very, very dense. It's not that easy of a read, and I think it might have also helped if there were more, like, you know, descriptions of just mundane stuff. But anyways, I still really enjoyed the writing. And yeah, one last thing that I don't really, yeah, in this book, Baru is kind of, she starts drinking, which from her youth and like her character, to me it didn't seem to fit at all. But well, yeah, what do I know? I don't know. That's the one thing where I was always confused why she would be a heavy drinker, and it just didn't really make sense to me. But yeah, that's it. That's just a minor complaint. So yeah, my final score for the book is an 8 out of 10. In my opinion, it's a really good read. If you're into political fantasy, then go ahead and grab the book right now, because it's really, really good. I also read this book like super fast. I couldn't really put it down. It's awesome. You can just, you know, yeah, it's really good. The suspense is real. So yeah, that's it for my general review. I'm gonna talk about spoilers now. If you didn't read the book, then make sure to turn off the video and read it. And yeah, I'm gonna start now. So first things first. Holy shit, the feels. I couldn't talk about it before because I couldn't even talk about what happened, but there are so many scenes where I was like, oh god, what's happening? It's so sad. So one thing I want to talk about is her sexuality. I didn't really want to touch on it before because I don't want to spoil everything in the book, but I like how it was just hinted at in the beginning, and later on it became more and more clear, but she still, it seemed to me like she was still trying to control it because the Falcrest is so opposed to it, her being lesbian. And then in the end with Tain Hu, it just all melts down, and what happens afterwards, that she has to, you know, she has to execute Tain Hu, and it's terrible. It's terrible. Also, I wrote down some quotes that were just, wow. One of them is, I think, this is the truth, you will know it because it hurts. And it's just quotes like that, wow. And another one, it wasn't really a quote, it's more like the entire scene where she's talking to this priestess, and they're talking about how she still wants to save her homeland, but she's so far away from home. And then Baru just starts breaking down, and she's like too far, she just totally starts choking up, and it's like she's come too far, and it's way in over her head, and all these people she doesn't even really know. She's fighting a war completely unrelated to Taranoke, and it's just, wow, it's so strong. Her last announcement was pretty epic too, like about Tainhu. She said something pretty crazy. I will write your name in the ruin of them. I will paint you across history in the color of their blood. And in the end, when she realizes that she shouldn't even have executed her, so they have a hostage and they can control her, and she's like, you will all fear me later on. It's, wow, that's just crazy. And after all these feelings, it's just insane. Also, I was really curious about her wound. It seems like her right side is completely blind after this hit, but, well, it's, yeah, the end of the book was just crazy, such a roller coaster. And in the middle of the book, I was always like, does she actually betray the rebellion later on? I couldn't really know what she was thinking, but yes, it turns out, yes, she did betray the rebellion. And, oh, yeah. Yeah, it was heavy. Crazy, crazy book. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed this review. If you read the book, let me know what you thought in the comments down below. And I'll see you in the next video. Till then, bye!